Honorable President Josipovic, Honorable Prime Minister Kosor, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is truly a pleasure for me to address you on behalf of Montenegro. And before I begin, I'd like to thank you for the invitation and the possibility to contribute to the success of the traditional Croatia Summit. I will use this opportunity to congratulate once again our hosts for the successful closing of the accession talks with the European Union. I reiterate that the success of Croatia represents a confirmation of credibility of the EU enlargement policy and an incentive for Montenegro, as well as other countries in this region, to continue with intensive efforts to meet the European agenda requirements. With its full commitment to carry out the ambitious goals of the European agenda, Montenegro benefits from strengthening of its administrative potential and the potential of the society as a whole. Today, there is a demanding agenda and significant challenges before us, both internally and in respect to our foreign policy. I believe that we are very close to meeting the remaining requirements expressed through the 7 Brussels criteria, which will enable the European Commission to recommend opening of the EU accession talks with Montenegro in this year's progress report. At this moment, the repeatedly expressed position of the Croatian officials that they will provide strong support to the other countries in the region in the continuation of their European and Euro-Atlantic integration efforts has a special importance and is understood as an encouragement. The government I lead is fully committed to the implementation of a whole set of reforms, convinced that it will result in the greater well-being for ourselves primarily, and then as such we can contribute to the democratization and strengthening of regional cooperation and be accepted by our international partners into the family of prosperous democratic nations. All of us in Southeast Europe must be successful in facing the open issues, some of which are quite difficult, which will slowly but surely bring us into the position that Europe will no longer see us as a problem, but as an opportunity and a desirable partner. Thus, each one of us must do our part of the homework and receive an individual assessment of fulfillment of its duties, and the final result should be a common success. As politically mature and responsible decision makers, we are aware of the fact that a stable region consists of stable countries that give their sincere contribution to the development of mutual trust and strengthening of all forms of cooperation. This is something that we have given due attention in Montenegro. A clear basis of our policy is to build a better future for our citizens through concrete cooperation and communication. Let me reiterate that this is not only the basis and the prerequisite for wider integration processes that we are all aimed at, but also the basis and the prerequisite for ourselves to continuously strive for the better. Montenegro represents a stability factor in the region. This is not merely a reflection of a serious democratic policy of the ruling structure, but also a reflection of the political maturity of its citizens. We have no open issues with our neighbours, and good neighbourly cooperation represents the basis of our foreign policy and a clear political orientation to continue to be a partner and a friend to all the nations and states in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, European integration, however, is not a goal on its own. Integration process is directly related to the issues of the quality of life, which is followed by more intensive economic relations based on the stability of overall political circumstances. Today, Montenegro is a stable country in political and economic terms. We have managed to overcome the global economic and financial crisis with minimum possible negative effects. And this year already we expect further growth of the Montenegrin economy of about 2.5% of GDP. The recent financial crisis has showed how important it is for every country to implement policies aimed at sustainable growth for every country itself, as well as the whole community. We will continue with the important economic reforms towards further improvements of business environment, stabilization of public finances, further implementation of structural reforms in the area of education, healthcare, social welfare, pension system, but also with the attraction of new foreign direct investments, in order to create a stable, competitive and dynamic economy in the long run and improve the quality of life of all its citizens. That has to be the ultimate goal of Montenegrin policies. The positive experience of most of the foreign companies that have successful operations in Montenegro make our state a desirable destination for foreign investments and a safe place for business activity. We have promised our citizens better quality of life, and as a responsible government, we will persist in fulfilling that goal. And there is no better life without new investments that contribute to economic development in the fields of energy, tourism, or any other industry. Today, according to the Freedom House report, Montenegro is one of the free countries. According to the UN Human Development Index and GEF's Global Competitiveness Index, Montenegro is one of the top 50 countries. According to the World Bank's Doing Business report, we are in the 66th place. According to reforms, we were one of the leaders in the region in 2010. Our ambition is to work on improvements in the area of contract enforcement, issuance of building permits, business startup, payment of taxes, real estate registration, thus contributing not only to the better business environment for entrepreneurs, but also reducing the possibilities for corruption with a positive effect on the rule of law in the long run. We will not give up the goal of making Montenegro one of the top 50 countries in the world in the international competitiveness rating lists in the next 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Montenegro is small by size, but it has a lot to offer. In many ways, it represents an exclusive area. Being a multi-ethnic society, we continue to cherish rich cultural heritage. At the same time, we are convinced that we represent an attractive destination for investments, and the reluctance of investors is not in their interest at all, as we do not intend to wait, but to keep moving, always forward and for the better, learning from mistakes and doing our best to make as few of them in the future as possible. Convinced that both individually and through our joint activities and projects in which Montenegro will always be a reliable partner, I wish to greet you all once again and thank you for your attention.